You can start, Bhageshwari.
Yeah, I'm just opening the document. Okay. Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Karpanya Doshopahata Svabhavah Pritchami Tvam Dharma Sambhudha Chetaha Yachyayasya Nishchitam Bruhitan Me Shishyasteham Shadhi Mam Tvam Prapannam. Om Vangme Manasi Pratishthita Mano Me Vachi Pratishthitam Aviravirmaedhi Vedasya Ma Anistah Shrutam Me Ma Prahasihi Anen Adhitena Ahoratran Sandadami Rutam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanmamavatu Tadavaktaram Avatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram Avatu Vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Bhadram Karnebhihi Shrunuyam Devaha Bhadram Pashyamakshabhiryajatraha Stirer Ange Stuštuvagam Sastanubihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vridashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti na Staksho Arishtanemi Swasti no Brihaspatir Dadatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Aham Vrikshasya Reriva Kirtim Prushtam Gireriva Urdhva Pavitro Vajiniva Swamritam Asmi Dravinagum Savarchasam Sumedha Amritokshitaha Iti Trishankora Vedanu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Excellently chanted, Bhageshwari. The last one, Dravina Gwam, not Gum. Gwam. Perfect. Okay. Couple of things. From next class onwards, we will spend first 5 minutes in doing what do you call it, recap. Okay. And the summary or the recap will literally 5 minutes or maybe like even lesser, 3 minutes. Whoever does it in lesser time gets extra points, right? But I won't be doing it. Like I've been doing it all through from now onwards, from next class onwards. You all will do it. Come prepared because I will ask on the spot. Okay, so it's a surprise quiz, which means that you have to do your swadhyay, right? So come prepared. And be very sure that if you did not attend the last class, then you will be asked to do the summary, okay? So make no mistake about that. The reason for this change in the format is because I am not doing anybody a favor by not allowing you to do your swadhyay and be able to paraphrase what you've learned, right? It would help you. Otherwise, I'm being very selfish here. The person who gains the most through all of this is me, because I do practice, I learn, I remember, and I now need to, expand that and give this back to you guys. And so you will have to come prepared for the class to do summary. Summary as in you need to know those couple of things that we talked about, most important stuff, maximum 5 minutes, preferably 2 minutes, 3 minutes, okay? And then we move on. So if you didn't attend last class, please come prepared, listen to the class, know what the summary was, and be prepared. You will definitely be picked on if you didn't attend last class, right? So we'll track that. That's one. Second, I think we should start that whole roster of doing the invocation shlokas as well. Right now, I'm just like asking people who are coming, mostly because last time when we did the roster, a lot of people whose names were there would not turn up in that class or come late. Okay, so that completely beats the purpose. So from next class onwards, I'm going to set up a roster now. And with that roster, everybody puts their names. Please be sure to join the class on time so that you can, do the seva that you've taken up. Okay. So these two things, that's it. That's it. These are the two new things that we will add on. I think what we all learned was also that, when we did the quiz and when everybody went through the chapter themselves, and when you paraphrase the learnings yourself, you tend to learn a lot more. So we just bring it forward, not like at the end of the chapter, but in every class. And this is based on the feedback I've received from other facilitators who've been doing this from the very beginning. And the feedback they've received is excellent in the class. So we've been asked to implement it as well in our class, right? Okay, with that, we'll jump right in. We did till 27 in last class, right? And what Arjun is now, so Bhagwanji is showing his Vishwarup Darshan, right? And since Shlok 15 now, Arjun is explaining what he's seeing, right? When we started off, essentially, what did we see? We saw that he is, there's whatever Bhagwanji has told about himself and who he has been or who he is, what his Tattva Darshan is, that is what now Arjun is experiencing. So that intellectual knowledge is getting converted into a more experiential knowledge. Okay. He starts off by seeing the grosser elements, colors, blah, blah. Then he sees all the, Adityas, the Rudras and all. So he now starts to go from the grosser elements to the more subtler and subtler elements. He sees the creation, he sees the maintenance, and now he's beginning to see the dissolution as well inside of Bhagwanji. Okay, and that's beginning to instill certain amount of fear in him. Okay. So now we'll start with 28. Okay. We'll start with Kavita.
This dissolution into the mouths of the Lord is now explained by Arjuna with the help of a simile.
Yatha nadinam bahavombuvegaha.
Yatha nadinam bahavombuvegaha.
Samudramevabhimukha dravanti.
Samudramevabhimukha dravanti.
Tatha tavami naralokavira.
Tata tavami naralokavira.
Vishanti vaktranyabhi vijwalanti.
Vishanti vaktranyabhi vijwalanti.
The first part is Yatha nadinam bahavombavegaha. That is, the first part is just as the rapidly flowing currents of water in rivers. The second one, Samudrameva bhimukha dravanti. Rush only towards the sea. That's your second one. The third one, Tatha tavami naralokavira. Similarly, these valiant men of the world, Vishanti vaktranya bhivijwalanti, is are entering your flaming mouths. Is the fourth part.
Just as the rapidly flowing currents of water in rivers rush only towards the sea, similarly, these valiant men of the world are entering your flaming mouths. God realization as the supreme state. In this shloka, Arjuna describes the rush of valiant men of both the sides into the blazing mouth of the Lord. The two sides symbolizes the path of righteousness and unrighteousness. The water of the river flow naturally into the sea, and the sea has to make no efforts to swallow them. Similarly, both the righteous and unrighteous actions get merged into the grace of the Lord to give place to the supreme state of God realization. This idea has already been put forward in Shloka 50 of chapter 2, where it was said that the even-minded person renounces the doership of both the righteous and unrighteous actions in this world. But so long as the consciousness holds fast to physical appearances and to the sense of the doership, the aspirant has to pursue the path of righteous actions and keep clear of the unrighteous path. When appearances cease to have any effect, there is neither righteousness nor unrighteousness. This is the stage when consciousness leaves both of them behind and enters the realm of supreme consciousness of the self.
So now this is a continuation of Shlok 27. In Shlok 27, he's basically saying, Arjun basically says that I am losing any sense of direction. And I'm seeing that that valiant warriors from both sides, from both Pandav army as well as from the Kaurava army are entering your mouth, right? Now, on one side, we have unrighteous people, and the other side, we've got righteous people, right? So both of them are entering his mouth. How do you think of this concept of dissolution? And why is Arjun feeling so scared about dissolution, right? The concept of dissolution is not that of people per se, okay? The concept of dissolution is from the fact that who's Bhagwanji? Bhagwanji is Gyan, right? Bhagwanji is unity. He's Anadi. And it is a Maya, his power of Maya, that creates this world of names and forms. All names and forms ultimately abide in him. They all dissolve in him. Righteous or unrighteous, everything ultimately abides in him. As you get closer to Bhagwanji, all gunas dissolve into him. Whether it's tamogun, rajogun, satogun, you doing righteous action, non-righteous action, all actions are given back to him alone. So as you rise in your consciousness and as you reach Bhagwanji, the names and forms cease to exist. When you interact with the world, you then do not interact with names and forms. You interact with Bhagwanji alone. That is the real understanding that we have to take away from all these shlokas of dissolution. However, Arjun is feeling scared. Why is he feeling scared? He's feeling scared because he's still attached to the concept of names and forms. And the dissolution of names and forms scares him still. Right? Fear of death still is inside of him because he's attached to the concept of these names and forms. He's not gone past those names and forms as yet. Not as yet. We're still on chapter 11. Okay? He's understood it intellectually. There are lots of things that he's beginning to understand experientially. He's ready to do his dharma. He's ready to understand all of it. But however, he's not still gone past Maya. Maya still has hold on him. Okay? Because we are living it. It is a very difficult thing to leave this Maya behind. It is Durat Tatya. It is his energy, his form. Okay? And we are going to learn a little bit in today's class on how we can move past it. So that is why he's feeling so scared. That's why he's like, oh, this is very scary. This is very frightening. Okay, because he still wants to hold on to the names and forms. He's still holding on to, this is me, this is my body. There's a lot of body consciousness still there. Right? He's unable to let that go. This is my body. These are my warriors. These are my brothers. These are my children. These are my Guruji. This is my tat, right? Like that concept is still there. That body consciousness is still there. That's why he's unable. But what Bhagwanji is showing him is that all these names and forms ultimately dissolve into me. In the next two shlokas, in 27 and in 28 and 29, now he's talking about, okay, everything dissolves into me, but then righteous and the unrighteous have a different way of merging into me. That is what is going to get explained in 27 and 28 and 29. Okay. So in 28, he's talking about the righteous people. Now, the example he's taken, the simile he's taken, that is that of Nadi, waters. all water belongs to Samudra, belongs to Sagar, belongs to oceans. From ocean, the water goes up as a part of the water cycle. Okay, with the help of sun's energy, it gets converted into water vapors. It rises up, gets converted into clouds, and then precipitates as rain. And when precipitates as rain, it then forms itself into lakes and rivers. All right. But all of the water in these lakes and rivers comes from the ocean, right? And they are constantly going back in their entire vague, their gati, their entire life goal is to go back into the ocean. Ocean is not calling them. Ocean is not going out to like capture them. There is no, ocean stays in its own space. Ocean doesn't go out and say, okay, now this thing is mine. It is not going out encroaching on other rivers or lakes. It stays where it is. Rivers come back to him. They are constantly flowing back to him. This is the gati of the righteous people. People who have got their purified intellect, who understand that I come from him and I have to go back to him. They are constantly working towards getting back to find him. All the seekers with the right state of mind, with the right intellect, purified intellect, who are constantly doing sadhana are compared to the nadi. Okay. So these rivers, they are going back into Bhagwanji. Okay. And again, they are reiterating the fact that to reach Bhagwanji, you have to leave both righteous and unrighteous actions. Okay. You have to go past kamna. You have to go past desires. All right. However, we can't leave it today. We can't say, I'm going to leave all sense of, like chapter 2, leave all sense of doership, right? Whether you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing, that's the karma yogi's action. And that's the route to go to. Till the time we don't get to that sense of space, till the time we can't get rid of doership, at least at the very minimum, follow the niyam and yam and niyam. Okay, let go of the unrighteous actions, unrighteous thoughts. Hold on to the righteous actions, righteous thoughts. Do your dharma, do your action, even though it is with a sense of doership. At least your gati will be that of swarg, if not moksha, right? You won't get moksha, but you will get swarg at least. That is still better. Next time you will again get an opportunity to be able to come back into the world and then do this, right? To go to find Bhagwanji again. So do righteous. Even if as long as there's a sense of doership, do righteous actions. Ultimately, however, you have to let go of all your sense of doership, even for righteous actions, because as long as you're holding on to it, as long as you have a sense of doership, where does sense of doership comes from? Doership comes from ego. So you're holding on to ego. If you're holding on to ego, you're holding on to the sense of body consciousness. So you cannot merge with him. However good a person you may be, that is why being a good person is not enough. We have to go past being a good person. But as a first goal, let's just start with being a good person in the first place. Even that is very difficult for us, right? We are constantly hurting people around us. We are constantly doing things out of selfish interests. We do that a lot, right? So we're not like doing all good activities all the time. Okay. So first thing is that, and then we ultimately have to leave even that. So all the valiant men who are doing this yudh, who are doing the fight from a space of dharma, this is my duty, they are entering Bhagwanji and they are getting swarg. Their gati is towards Bhagwanji from that perspective. Okay, so they are going to get swarg. These are all the people who, for whatever reason, they are there. They have a sense of doership, but they are doing it out of a sense of duty, but with a sense of doership. The next one is going to be where people are not doing it from a sense of dharma, from a sense of duty. The next set of people, so the people who are doing things out of a sense of duty or dharma, what do? They are givers. They're not seeking anything back. They're not seeking anything from you. They're not acting out of selfish interests. They are not takers. They are givers. They're constantly giving to all the VVGP around them. They are the givers, but with a sense of doership. That sense of doership also has to go to really merge with him. Okay. Now the next one, we are going to talk about the takers. what is the gati of the takers? Okay. Smita, you'll read with us.
Sure. Another example is now given by Arjun to describe the spectacular scene.
Yatha pradiptam jwalanam patanga.
Yatha pradiptam jwalanam patanga.
Vishanti nashaya samriddha vegaha.
Nishanti nashaya samriddha vegaha.
Tathaiva nashaya vishanti lokaha.
Tathaiva nashaya vishanti lokas.
Lokaha. Tavapi vaktrani samriddha vegaha.
Tavapi vaktrani samriddha vegaha.
Okay. Yatha pradiptam jwalanam patanga is the first part is as moths hasten to enter a blazing fire. The second part, Vishanti nashaya samriddha vegaha. So samriddha vegaha is that word hasten in the first part. Vishanti nashaya is for their destruction. Third part, Tathaiva nashaya vishanti lokaha. In the same manner, all these creatures of the world, right? Tavapi vaktrani samriddha vega are rushing fast into your mouths of destruction. Let's read, Smita.
As moths hasten to enter a blazing fire for their destruction, in the same manner, all these creatures of the world are rushing fast into your mouths for destruction. The dissolution of actions. In this example, it is shown clearly that all actions spring forth from the illusion of Maya. When consciousness is freed of this illusion of ignorance, the entire maze of actions is dissolved in the light of supra-consciousness. Then the sensory perception and the matrix of actions, which are ever-changing and are the main props of ignorance and illusion, disappear into nothingness in the same manner in which darkness dissolves in the light of the sun, or in which the moths are burned to ashes in fire.
Okay. So this is a very interesting example, right? Like moths. So, if there is darkness of night and the moths see any kind of light, they rush towards it. And they rush towards it. Why? Because they have a sense of like, oh, wow, we have this really beautiful light and I will get I'll get something out of it, right? So they rush towards it from a point of view of taking advantage of that light. Okay, they think that they will be happy in some format. They will get something that they don't have from that light. When they rush towards it, some of them enter it and they die. They get burnt completely. Okay, there are others who are going to get partially burned, and now they can't fly any longer. They are lying around, but they are very sad because they're constantly still hankering after that light, the very light that has burnt them and made them disabled and is a cause of their suffering. They don't understand that. All they can think of is that light. I want that flame. Okay. And if some person out of love for these moths, they say, okay, let me put this light off so that they don't die any longer. If he puts that off, the moths do not see that as that action being in their favor or being done out of welfare or out of love for them. They would feel quite sad that, oh my God, like what a big loss I've had. I wanted that light. That light would have given me something. And now that flame has been put off by somebody really, really cruel. They don't understand how that very thing was destroying them. Okay. So people who are constantly running after the world, who are constantly engaged in the three major ashnas of this world, Vitteshna, Putreshna, and what is the third one? Forgetting the word here, but the first one, Vitteshna, is that of wealth. Putreshna is that of your children, your family. And the third one is linked to your name and fame. Okay, so these are the three major ashnas we always have, right? I, me, myself, and what is mine. People who are constantly engaged in this, who are constantly only engaged in their houses, their families, their wealth, their offices, their roles and responsibilities and friends. And for those people, first of all, it is impossible for them to understand the concept of liberation. And the concept of wanting God is very far from that. Desire for God is very far from that. They don't even understand that concept. For them, the only desire that exists is the desire for these three ashnas. And they are constantly only working towards them. And that ashna is the cause of their very suffering. It's like that flame towards which all moths are going. They get burnt in it. Because as you hanker after these ashnas, as you constantly hanker after these desires, what does it get you? Back-breaking effort, constant unhappiness, tiredness, the very life, the time that you have, or based on which you are running after this, that life gets over eventually, right? You lose your life, you lose your health. There is constant sense of anxiety over either getting it or anxiety over maintaining and sustaining what you've got. There is sometimes apman, right? People will say things to you, or whatever, like, so apman is going to be part of it. So there's a lot of suffering that comes through these ashnas, and yet people don't see that those desires are the very source of the suffering, and they are constantly going after them only. And if you try and tell them that stay away from this, and you try and like put off that flame, they don't consider you their friend, right? So we are like that moth. So people who are like that moth, what is their gati? Their gati is also Bhagwan Ji. They also get dissolved into Bhagwan Ji. But their gati is not Swarg. Their gati is Nark. Lower forms of consciousness. Correct? But ultimately, they all dissolve into him, is what is important. For a wise person, he does not get stuck in any judgments. This is righteous, this is unrighteous, this is right, this is wrong, this is black, this is white. He does not get stuck anywhere. It is what it is. Whatever is happening is for his will, and you will move towards him. Constantly move towards him. All are now, what do these consciousness, now this is at a gross level, right? We understand this as a concept of people, good people, bad people, doing right thing, doing wrong thing. Bring it back to your me story. All the righteous thoughts in your head, all the wrong thoughts in your head, ultimately the gatis where? Bhagwan Ji. Where do they go and dissolve? Bhagwan Ji. How do you get rid of them? Bhagwan Ji. If you try and think that your ego, or through your own what do you call it? Your own effort, it will go away. It won't. It is very, very difficult, which is why bhakti is so important, which is why you have to surrender yourself. Without that sense of surrender, you will never be able to dissolve into Bhagwan Ji. You will always be scared because you've got that sense of ego. I did it. I am doing it. That sense of abhiman, that sense of ego has to be dissolved. Okay? Okay. Now, these people, the people who are generally like, the people who are represented by the moths, these are the people who are constantly takers, right? People who are like Nadi, they are the givers. Okay. Again, closer home, you have the tendency when you're in a giving mode, right? Especially with little children. What do you seek of them? You're constantly in a giving mode to the children, right? But you're also a taker in so many situations in your life, in so many relationships. We are takers, right? When we are takers, we are in the bhog vritti. We are constantly doing bhog of the sansar around us. We are doing bhog of the devi around us. And when we are acting as nadi, then we are acting as givers. Okay, so people who are givers and people who act as nadis, they will get swarg, and the people who are acting as takers, or every time we are acting as takers, we get nark, right? In micro or macro ways. Sometimes we get our nark or swarg in those few moments, and there are times when those moments of swarg and nark can be much elongated over days, over months, over years, over lifetimes, depending on the impact or the depth of our feelings and with which we did something. Correct? But ultimately, everything dissolves into him. That's what he's showing. Everything dissolves into him. The good, the ugly, the bad. Everything dissolves into him. Okay. Next one. Sanchita, you read this?
Tuhina, sorry. Dissolve means what exactly?
Everything folds into him. Everything, sabki gati is Bhagwan ji only. Because he's the only source. There is no other.
Means after my this life, I'll go towards him.
Yes.
That is called dissolution.
There are dissolutions or at every level, right? Dissolution at a micro level, dissolution at a macro level. Like we had seen, there is pralay and then there is mahapralay, right? So in our consciousness also, one dissolution is when you go to sleep. Every night your ego dissolves. You have no sense of pain. Your chitta, your man, everything is gone. Your intellect is gone completely. It's dissolved with him. And then you start afresh. Correct? So that's at a very micro level. At a macro level, at one life level, yeah, when you die, everything dissolves into him. Correct? But then over lifetimes, the entire Srishti gets dissolved into him. Ultimately, even Brahma gets dissolved into him in Mahapralaya. And a new Brahma, new cycle of creation starts. New Srishti chakras get started. Right? So, like I said, it's a hologram. Everything that happens in a microsecond is what is being played out at a macro level also. Whatever is happening within an atom, the same concept applies to the rest of the world. That's why when we want to control something, we have to only control ourselves. When we want Vijay, when we want to win over this world, we have to win over ourselves. When I want somebody else's approval, I first have to give approval to my own self. When I want others to love me, I have to first learn to love myself. Okay? But ultimately, everything belongs to Bhagwan Ji. Basically, this means that everything is Bhagwan Ji. When you look at anything and everything, it is Bhagwan Ji, and you have to surrender it to him alone. You see a person who you don't like, you see a person you like, you think somebody is doing something unfavorable for you, something doing favorable for you. They are all Bhagwan Ji, and they are there for a reason in your life. Look back inside and ask yourself, what are they teaching you about yourself? What are they bringing upwards for you to give up to Bhagwan Ji? Okay. Sanchita?
Connection. Arjuna now describes how the inexorable process of dissolution of names and forms, as well as actions connected with them, reduces them into nothingness.
Lelihyase grasmana samantad.
Leliyase grasamana samantal.
Grasmana. There's no grasa.
Oh. Leliyase grasmana samantal.
Samantad. The.
Okay.
Yeah. Lokan samagran vadanair jwala the Lokan samagran vadanair jwalatbihi.
Lokan samagran vadanir jwaladbihi.
Nice, very nice. Tejobhirapurya jagat samagram.
Tejobhirapurya jagat samagram.
Bhasastavogra pratapanti Vishnu.
Bhasastavograha pratapanti Vishnu.
First part, Lelihyase grasamana samantat, swallowing all worlds totally. Actually, this entire first line, I will tell you, is swallowing all worlds totally with your blazing mouths. And you're licking them. Lelihyase is like you're licking them. Okay. Tejo Bhira Purya Jagat Samagram. Your fierce rays are completely filling the whole world. Bhasasta Vogra Pratapanti Vishnu, with your radiance and your heat, O Vishnu.
Swallowing all worlds totally with your blazing mouths, you are licking them. Your fierce rays are completely filling the whole world with radiance and heat, O Vishnu. The world suffused with the divinity. This shloka tells how the Lord accepts all actions when they get absorbed in Him. The physical perceptions and the actions based on them subsist so long as desires remain in the mind. That this is why the scriptures say that the world evolves out of the mental assumptions, and when the assumptions are annihilated, all the perceptions of the world disappear. The wiping out of the desires from the mind annihilates the mental assumptions also.
Perfect. So this is where we are seeing that this Maya has no astitva, has no standing of its own. Okay, everything is based on Bhagwan Ji. Just as when you see a rope in darkness, whether you see that rope as a snake, whether you see that rope as a crack on the earth, all those are mental assumptions that you have, right? And they are all based on the rope only. Like if you think of it as a snake, then how thick is the snake will depend on the thickness of the rope, correct? There is no other way. So it is the thickness of the rope that is giving you a sense of that there is this snake that is this thick, or the color or the shape, right? It is all based on the rope. The moment the lights get switched on, you realize, oh, this was no snake here. This is only a rope. Similarly, everything that you see in Maya is because of Bhagwan Ji. There is no real existence of this Maya at all. Everything ultimately reposes into him. Everything is happening because of him, because of his own power of Maya. Maya creates a sense of illusion. How does that happen, right? Time is another of those examples, right? Time is his Maya. It is his illusion. Now, when Bhagwan Ji is shown himself, when he's showing his Vishwaroop to Arjun, he tells Arjun, you see everything in me, whatever you want to see. Which means you want to see where this fight is leading to, you see that also. So he sees past, he sees present, he sees future also. How is that possible? Because Bhagwan Ji does not have that. When you reach Bhagwan Ji, right, like that top, there is no concept of time, because even time has folded up. Okay, so so basically everything ultimately goes into him. Everything gets absorbed into him. All actions that we do, when we do Shri Krishna Arpanamastu, he will take all our actions. He takes our food, he takes all our actions, he takes our thoughts, he takes our dosh, he takes our vikars, and he accepts everything. Okay, and that is what he's seeing. When you say fierce rays are completely filling the whole world with radiance and heat, right? You can see his Saumya form, you can see his dissolution form, you can see all forms of him. But he is there because there is no Maya cannot, the illusion of Maya cannot have any effect on him, essentially. He's past all of this. And when we reach him, then Maya ceases to have any effect on us as well. That's what you are being shown. Okay.
Rohina?
Yeah.
So when you said that our whether it's Swarg or Nark, does that mean that once we die and we dissolve into him, and of course we are not in a position of moksha yet, so our past life or our actions there determines in what state we are born in our next life? Is that Swarg, like if we get a repeat human birth where we are more evolved, like I come back and pick up Gita much more faster because I left it somewhere in this birth. Is that a Swarg situation where he ensures that you are shown the correct path much easily?
Human form is one of the forms that we have. There are other forms that are much lighter than human bodies. Human body is very dense with a lot of grossness to it. The swarg can also mean that you are only doing bhog. In human form, you don't do bhog, you have to do yog. There are other forms out there that have only bhog vritti, like animals and certain types of, whether it's microbial animals, whether it is larger animals, they have bhog vritti. The swarg, the yakshas, the yakshas and there are other life forms. From a macro perspective, there are other life forms that are more like, light forms that are only where whatever they wish for, it comes to just like that without them having to work. Okay, that is at a macro level. At a micro level, yes, the swarg and the nark would basically mean in human form. When we are in human form, we also experience the swarg and the nark in our consciousness, because that entire Brahmand is also playing out within us. So in that sense, your swarg from a physical perspective is that because you've done certain types of good activities, right? And so you are born in anukul situations, which will allow you to take your journey towards him in a faster way. Now that anukulta does not necessarily mean money, right? Does not necessarily mean that you're born in a family that is like you're born in a, I don't know, like your Paris Hilton does, yeah, a lot of anukulta from a material perspective, but is that helpful for her in her journey towards God? Maybe not, right? Sometimes anukulta may mean that you're born in a family of saints, which does not really have the material comforts as we know them, right? Anukulta would mean that you are born in a situation which will take you towards Bhagwan Ji. And when it is not anukul to you, then you will be born in a situation where you have to go through a lot of hardship and you may not be able to even pick up Gita. Right? Your external environment is so full of strife and so full of difficulty that you have no time to do swadhyay. That's nark. Right? If you're constantly just like running after figuring out how to get your food on the table, and you think that you're relying on your own this thing, yeah, that's a form of nark. Even in our daily lives now, making it even more micro, on a daily basis, you experience varga and nark in your own head. There are moments when you are in line, acting in line with the divine will, and you feel a sense of peace, you feel a sense of happiness. And when you're not, you feel a sense of agitation, you feel a sense of fear or anxiety or greed that is causing a lot of like halchal inside of you, right? So you can view it from every single different level. But I think the one that is most useful for us and most practical for us is to use this as the swarg and nark inside of our consciousness, inside our own heads, and how we use that to bring ourselves to Bhagwan Ji. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Next one. Nena, you'll read this?
When the Lord revealed his cosmic form to Arjuna, then seeing the Lord's eminence in each atom of the universe, it appeared to Arjuna that the entire world had got absorbed in the Lord's divinity. All the physical perceptions with which he had a lifelong association now appeared to be different manifestations of the same divinity. Such a dissolution induces fright in the individualized self. So Arjuna now inquires.
See, now you understand the reason for his fright. Because he's afraid, he can see clearly that all names and forms dissolve into him. There is no sense of individualized self any longer. My individualized Atma is Paramatma himself. So I dissolve into him as well, which means there is no ego. It is the ego that is afraid because it wants to maintain its own satta. It does not want to dissolve, right? There is that sense of ego. That is what is feeling scared. Ego does not want to dissolve. Ego is putting up a fight. Okay. आख्याहि मे को भवानग्र रूपः
आख्याहि मे को भवान् अनुग्ररूपाः
नमोस्तु ते देववर प्रसीद
नमोस्तु ते देववर प्रसीद
विज्ञातुमिच्छामि भवन्तमाद्यम्
विज्ञातुमिच्छामि भवन्तमाद्यम्
न हि प्रजानामि तव प्रवृत्तिम्
न हि प्रजानामि तव प्रवृत्तिम्
न हि प्रजानामि तव प्रवृत्तिम्. That's the right music. Okay. आख्याहि मे को भवानुग्र रूपः is namastume te devi. Okay. So, O Supreme God, tell me who you are. So fierce in form, right? Ugra Roop, so fierce in form. Namastu. So now he's bowing down to you. I bow down to you. Te devavar prasida, have mercy, be pleased. Okay. Okay. Vijnatumichhami bhavantamadhyam is I desire to know you. Okay. For I am unable to comprehend you. Nahi prajanami tava pravrattim. I'm unable to comprehend what you want to do. Right? Now he's still stuck with his ego. He's still stuck with his individualized self. He hasn't dissolved into Bhagwanji. That means there is still a difference between Gyata, the Gye, and the Gyan. They haven't collapsed into one yet. There is still that split. And that is why he's unable to comprehend him. The only way to comprehend him is when you become him, when your individualized self dissolves into his will. Your will becomes his will. And that's what's happening to Arjun. Okay, he's reached a point, he got the Divya Drishti, he understood and he saw a lot of things, he understood a lot of stuff, but then he reaches a point where he's like, boss, now beyond this, I cannot understand any longer. Okay, even after reaching here, even after getting Divya Drishti, he's unable to comprehend the completeness of Bhagwanji. Okay, and that is the very nature of him. This is what we are trying to understand. Like, even after we get there, we will not understand him completely until we become him. The only way to understand him is by becoming him, because he's limitless. There's nothing you can do to understand limitlessness from a space of limitedness. Okay, let's read.
O Supreme God, tell me who you are, so fierce in form. Have mercy, I bow down to you. O the origin of all, I desire to know you, for I am unable to comprehend what you want to do. The enigmatic will of the Lord. In this peculiar situation, Arjuna's mind is unable to comprehend those aspects of the Lord which transcend primal nature. For a human being, space is the subtlest entity. Now, Arjuna has a vision of something subtler than even space. This spectacle is highly mystifying, in which even space appears to be absorbed, putting an end to physical manifestations.
Yeah. So, like I said, Arjun has reached a point where he's unable to comprehend even with divine drishti what is happening, because even the concept of space and time, everything that we see in this world is a play of space and time. And here, even the space has collapsed, right? The space has collapsed. So now he's unable to comprehend beyond that, like what's going on here. Okay. Now, Bhagwanji is going to explain to him, because he's scared and he's asking him, Bhagwanji, what is going on here? I am unable to understand who you really are. I've understood thus far, but now I've reached a point where I'm like, oh, I don't think I really know you. I still don't understand you, right? So now Bhagwanji will tell him why he doesn't understand him, and then we'll understand a few more things around. Yeah. So let's hear what Bhagwanji has to say. Bhagyashree, you'll read.
Yeah. The Lord replies,
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Kalo Asmi Lokakshaya Krata Pravriddhaha.
Kalasmi Lokakshaya Krita Pravriddha.
Very nice. Lokan लोकान् समाहर्तुमिह प्रवृत्तः
लोकान् समाहर्तुमिह प्रवृत्तः
ऋतेऽपि त्वां न भविष्यन्ति न ऋतेऽपि त्वां न भविष्यन्ति सर्वे
ऋतेऽपि त्वां न भविष्यन्ति सर्वे
ये अवस्थिता प्रत्यनिकेषु योधाः
ये अवस्थितः प्रत्यनिकेषु योधाः.
So Sri Bhagwan Ji says, Kalo asmi lokakshaya kratya pravraddha. I am the time element, which is the destroyer of all. Lokan samahartumiha pravrattaha. And now I am engaged in destroying the world. Rati api tvam na bhavishyanti sarve. Without any effort on your part, right? Without any effort on your part, ye avasthata pratyanikeshu yodhaha. All the warriors will cease to exist. So now Lord is talking of himself as the annihilator.
The Lord says, I am the time element, which is the destroyer of all, and am now engaged in destroying the world. Even without any effort on your part, all the warriors arrayed in this war will cease to exist. The Lord is the annihilator of even the time element. In this shloka, the Lord reveals a superior and mystifying aspect of His. In the indivisible unity of the Lord, there can be no prospect of any succession or series of elements, just as in the waters of the ocean, there can be no succession. But when the force of the wind creates waves, they appear in succession one after the other. When the wind subsides, the waves also subside. In the same manner, the Lord's divine power, Maya, creates the illusion of succession of the elements of time, like years, months, days, and hours. This illusion gives rise to causation or the principle of cause and effect, which lies at the root of creation. When the time element is absorbed in the self, the physical manifestations also subside. With the dissolution of these manifestations, the divine vision is revealed to the inner being of the individualized self, who then merges with the Supreme Self and realizes that the beginning of creation, its sustenance, and its end all are occurring in the self. In fact, creation is being evolved out of the self and getting absorbed in it all the time. With a limited vision, the individualized self has the assumption of being a part of creation with the volition to perform actions and enjoy their outcome. This involvement with actions leads to countless births and deaths. The simplest way to achieve liberation from this cycle is now told by the Lord.
This is a little difficult to understand, but it's a very interesting, very important thing to understand. And I think the example given is excellent here. So when you look at water in an ocean, can you potentially say that this water comes first, this water comes next, this drop comes next? Can you say that? Is there any such concept in water when you look at ocean? Do you have that concept? You don't have that concept, right? But you have a concept of waves, right? This wave comes first, then the second wave comes, and the third wave comes, the fourth wave comes, right? But how do those waves get formed? The waves get formed because of the action of wind. If there is no wind and the water is just lying still, completely still, then all water is the same. There is no concept of this comes before that. Everything is just is. This is how consciousness is. Bhagwan Ji, the Satchidanand Brahma that we call, is just is. The power that creates the halchal, the first halchal comes from kamna, desire. the primal cause of everything. And what is that primal desire? Ekoham bahusyami. If there is no such desire, there is no creation. It just is. And then Ekoham bahusyami, the primal desire, the urge to create, came into the consciousness. And with that came the halchal. The halchal created the three gunas. From three gunas came the entire prakriti, the maya. Okay. And in this maya, when it gets created, maya is basically, Bhagwanji is the Atma, the Brahma, the passive form, all that is possible, the potential power, the kinetic power of when that potential moves is the Devi form, is the Maya. Everything that we see around us is Maya, is the Devi. The Atma inside of us is Brahma, and everything that we see around us, our mind, our intellect, our thoughts, our feelings, our chitta, the memories, every gross form, the VVGP that we see around us is his manifestation of Maya. Okay, so the time element was, the time and space elements were created by Lord when the gunas arose. And now imagine, right? Like, so it's for you to draw anything, you have, for a 3D picture, you need to have a sense of like that height, width, and height, length, and width, right? You have to have these three elements, right? He created that element for us to do this Prakriti, for the Prakriti to arise. Now imagine having this 3D chart on which you're drawing up stuff. When he folds that up, when the sense of, then the time elements on your y-axis, when it folds up, nothing remains, no? So he's telling Bhagwanji is saying that why you are unable to comprehend is because you understand everything from a space of space and time. And now what you're seeing is a dissolution of even space and time. And when space and time collapse, the Big Bang, that whole thing, right? What is it called, that? The hole, the black hole. The concept of black hole, where all matter and energy gets sucked in. From a scientific point of view, that's the closest we've come to understand that concept, right? That is him. That is his real, that is a real him, where nothing, there is no kamna, there's no desire, there's no halchal, there's no time, there's no space. Nothing. We can't even imagine what that means because it's completely outside our space of reference. Even Arjun can't understand it. And so he's asking Bhagwanji. The only way to really, really fully, we can only grasp a small part of what it potentially means. Ultimately, for us to go there, we have to climb all these steps up to reach him, and then we will fully grasp it. Just like we have to learn one thing at a time to get to a PhD level, right? We're not there yet. Okay. When you do your third round or fourth round of reading this chapter, no, your understanding of this shloka itself will go deeper. Let's move on. Okay, 33. Who will read? Kavita, back to you. Rituj has joined. So let's have Rituj read this one. Rituj, we are on Shlok 33.
Shlok 33. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Explaining this, the Lord says,
Tasmat tvam uttishta yasho labhasva.
Tasmat tvam uttishta yasho labhasva.
Jitva shatrun bhukshva rajyam samriddham.
Jitva shatrun bhunshva rajyam samriddham.
Mayevate nihata purvamev.
Mayevaite nihata purvamev.
Nimittamatram bhava savyasachin.
Nimittamatram bhava savyasachin.
So tasmat tvam uttishta yasho labhasva. Therefore arise, win glory. Second one, Jitva Shatrun Bhukshva Rajyam Samriddham, conquer enemies and enjoy a royal affluence. Mayai Vaite Nihata Purvamev, they have already been slain by me. Nimitta Matram Bhava Savyasachin, be you merely an instrument, O Savyasachin.
Therefore arise, win glory, conquer enemies, and enjoy royal affluence. They have already been slain by me. Be you merely an instrument. O Savyasachin. The command to function as an instrument of the Lord. In this well-known shlok, the Lord explains how the duties of the world are to be performed. For this, he gives three directions. Winning glory. First, winning glory. By this, the Lord does not instruct Arjun to perform his actions with a view to gaining fame. He points out to Arjun how to avail of the glory which would naturally be his by performance of his duties as an instrument of the Lord. Second, conquering the enemies. In Shlok 37 of chapter 3, the Lord has pointed out that desires and anger caused by the thwarting of desires are the real enemies of a person in this world. Besides anger, avarice is also a modification of desires, which is caused by their fulfillment. The trio of desires, anger, and avarice or avarije causes delusion. These are, in fact, the real enemies of a human being. And in this shlok, the Lord exhorts Arjuna to conquer them. Third, enjoying the affluence of a kingdom. Territory, wealth, properties, and the like are generally regarded as constituting the affluence of a kingdom. Here, this word has been used in a symbolic manner. To pursue desires arising in the mind leads to bondage and slavery. To conquer and master them enables one to rule over the kingdom of selfhood and enjoy its affluence. The Lord holds out a great assurance while giving these three directions. The truth to be realized is that, as mentioned in Shlokas 28 to 32, physical phenomena are automatically being dissolved in the cosmic form of the Lord all the time. But so long as even a trace of individual ego remains, the real welfare of a person accrues by performance of duties assiduously as an instrument of the Lord and surrendering the outcome of actions to the Lord. In fact, involvement in actions and their outcome is the result of the three gunas of nature activated by the power of the Lord. The scope of free will in any action is restricted to abrogating the doership of the action or functioning as only an instrument of the Lord. A yoga aspirant chooses the latter in the event of choosing the former alternative, earning the glory of conquering nature with the strength of the self would elude the aspirant. In this shlok, Arjuna has been addressed as Savyasachik. This term is applied to one who can shoot an arrow with the left hand as accurately as with the right hand. Symbolically speaking, spiritual disciplines are called the right-handed path, and worldly disciplines are called the left-handed path. However, one who pursues worldly disciplines by way of karma yoga and attains self-realization thereby is here called Savyasachin, being equally adept in both the paths.
Okay. So, basically, Bhavanji is saying what? That he's saying everything has already been done by me. Okay. You don't have to do anything with your effort. All you have to do is to become my nimit matra and do what has already been ordained for you. Win glory, not fame. Big difference. Win glory, not fame. And glory is that which will naturally be his. This is your birthright. As people who can recognize ourselves as the self and not the smaller self, the big self, right? We will naturally win glory. It is our birthright to win glory. Okay. Fame comes by trying to like get other people to, it's very sansaric concept, right? So you don't have to be involved in sansaric concept of man, apman, fame, type of stuff. No, it is about getting your own glory, which will shine forth from within you, right? And conquer the enemies. Who are the enemies? These are not external enemies. These are internal enemies, right? Mahashano mahapapatma, right? And nityavarinam, anger, desires, and greed all starts from desire, from kamna. But then we just said that kamna was the starting point of how the entire world got created, right? So then how do we get rid of kamna? Because kamna was the very starting point of this world. So it is very integral to this world. If it's very integral to this world, that means it is integral to us. How do I get rid of kamnas? There is no need to get rid of kamnas. Nobody's ever told you to get rid of kamnas. Nobody's ever told you to get rid of your actions, right? We always will have. The point is that we transmute the desire. We transmute the desire from the worldly desires to the only desire that is worth having, which is that of Bhagwanji. The only desire that we should have is that of Bhagwanji. If we have that desire, then we are on the right path. Have that desire, and when you have that desire, then there is going to be no concept of anger. There's no concept of greed. All right, because they get transmuted too. If we have worldly desires, then that means we are being limited. That means if we are being limited, then something will come to us, something will not come to us. If something went to someone else, it will not come to us, because everything in this world is limited, right? So when our desire does not get fulfilled, we become angry. If our desire does get fulfilled, then it leads to greed. I got a house today that I wanted. Tomorrow, after a point, I want a bigger house. I got a 1 BHK, then I want a 2 BHK, then I want a 3 BHK, then even 3 BHK is not enough, then I want a 4 BHK. Okay. So desire, anger, and greed. These are the things that we have to conquer. Okay. And what does Bhagwanji say? That I have already killed your enemies. What does that mean for our sadhana? Very important point to know. It means that when I see the dosh and the vikar, so I do swadhyay, right? We do swadhyay. And then we see these dosh inside of us, the vikars, the vrittis, and we're like, yeah, I don't like this. Like, how can I be like this? And then you want to, what do we do typically? We get upset with ourselves. How can I be like this? I'm reading this Gita for so long. How can I continue to behave like this? You're working really hard on your anger, and then it constantly comes up again and again. You're trying to fix it. Okay, you try and pull yourself to, I have to exercise, I'll go for 3 days, 4 days, I will not go. How can I be like this again? Why will that happen? Is because of ego. Because we are dependent on our own strength to get rid of our vikars, to get rid of our vrittis. Bhagwanji is saying, stop doing that. Observe your vikars and vrittis when you see them. Observe them closely, understand them. And Bhagwanji will dissolve them. He has already killed them. If you're on the path to Bhagwanji, no need to feel hurried about it. Kab aayega, kab aayega, kab aayega, kab aayega. When will I receive moksha? When will I get better? None of that needs to be, like you don't have to worry about all of that. All those enemies of yours have already been killed by him. All you need to do is to now do the actions that Bhagwanji is telling you to do. What are those actions that you have to do? The actions of Swadhyay, the actions of Satsang, the actions of Manan, Chintan, Nididhyasan, and Bhakti. Bhakti Mishrit Karmyo. Okay? You do the actions and Bhagwanji will take care of the rest. All your enemies will get killed in due course of time, as long as you stay the path of your yuddha. Don't run away. Don't try and escape your VVGPs. Use all your vibhutis, all your circumstances that Bhagwanji has given to you for his pleasure, his happiness, by doing your dharma in it. That's all that you need to do. Don't escape. Don't feel sad about why the circumstance, why am I like this? Why do I not have this? Why do I have that? All of those things, everything that is you and every circumstance that is there is a perfect place to be in to find him. Because every circumstance and every vritti that gets released to you or gets revealed to you is the perfect place to reach him. That very klesh, that very vritti that you have right now that is troubling you is your path to God. By observing it, by examining it, that is where your nidhi dhyasana and swadhyaya happens. Try and understand what energy are you feeling, why are you feeling it, where is it coming from, examine it. How does it feel? Where does it feel? Does it have a physical manifestation inside of you? If you're feeling fear, where are you feeling the fear? How does it physically manifest in your body? Maybe the manifestation is in the breath. Maybe the manifestation is in the tremors on your hands. Maybe the manifestation is in the form of sweat. Maybe the manifestation is in the form of hunger. I don't know. It manifests differently for different people. Observe the physical manifestations, observe the mental manifestations, observe the emotional manifestations of that vritti, and give it over to Bhagwanji. Bhagwanji will eventually take care of it. That's how you will get rid of your enemies. He will kill him, not you. You cannot kill it. Because just like Ravan, it will come again and again in different forms. In forms that will delude you. You won't know it is Ravan. You thought you killed it in one form. It will come up again in another form, and then another form, and then another form. Only Ramji, only Bhagwanji can kill that Ravan. Okay? So observe. That is our duty. Observe them and then give it over to Bhagwanji. And then the glory will be yours. The moksha will be yours. Okay? We'll stop here, 11:42. Let's do some takeaways. We've got 17 minutes to do takeaways, okay? So we'll stick to the time. We have not too many people, so it should be fine. Who wants to go first? Or I'll take names. Go, Sanjay.
So I think couple of things today. I think and I think all leads to the same thing. One is you said this world is full of Maya, and because of everything that is happening around us, we are all living in a disillusioned world. But the only way to get out of it is to surrender, and and we will not be, until unless we are able to surrender, we will not be able to actually dissolve into him. I think that has been one big thing, big learning. And the second is, just now when you said that, everything that we just need to have that bhakti. So, we are living in a delusionary world, and the only way to do is surrender, and how is through all the swadhyayas and the bhakti. And finally, I think it all boils down to have that faith and belief that he will pull us out of this. We just need to do our own job, and we just need to do our own duty towards him, and everything else will be taken care of by him.
Absolutely. Well said, Sanchita. Thank you. Who goes next?
I think my biggest takeaway is that as you were mentioning, to be the instrument of the God. So we all have faults and tendencies what we have, just to kind of observe it and be aware of it and offer that to God whenever it comes into the mind, and with the full faith, and as Sanchita said, with the full surrender. That is my takeaway.
Very nice. Naina, you want to go next?
From what I could conclude is true growth or true progress is within. Wherever we have to look into ourselves and see what all our vrittis and vikaras are coming from. We have to go to the source of it and then accept it, and then release it to the Lord. So He will take care of it. We cannot do it on our own most of the time. So we have to just give it up and but go to the source of it and really understand that one. And of course, the black hole. Yeah. So ultimately, it's all that's profound, black hole. So still need to understand that. Yeah, we won't understand it yet. Everything, the righteous and unrighteous, the doership of both righteous and unrighteous deeds we have to give up. It's easy to give up the unrighteous ones, but doership, it's still hold on to the righteous deeds. Ultimately, in the corner of our somewhere, you try to do good and you hold on to it. That we have to give up. That is my takeaway. And yeah, within the limited scope of our understanding, we will not be able to comprehend the Lord completely. So it will be difficult to know Him from our limited space,
Oh, absolutely.
limited understanding.
Absolutely. Even sages who have spent like years and years doing all kinds of sadhana, even they don't understand his full scope of who he really is, right? None of us can. We can only attempt to make certain understandings which help us to get closer to him. That's all that we can do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Smita? Kakul, you go after that. After Smita.
Very heavy few shlokas that we have read this today, and just makes me wonder on a lot of things actually, because I agree with everyone's learnings and takeaways, but I'm one of those people, I think maybe I question too much. If God is, and what we are saying is bliss and unity, then all this description sometimes gets very confusing, that we are dissolving into him. What are we dissolving into? My concept, as I last time also expressed, would be more around being good, doing nice things. Then all these concepts comes, and then I can't relate whether it's a person, because I definitely, in my own understanding, it's not a person, it's not one individual or anything. It's just our energies that we have to make good energies, because good energies will lead to, good actions and good manifestations, and ultimately, dissolving or, self-realization, which is also called moksha. But then all these concepts and the way it is portrayed really puts, just shakes me up, just makes me wonder a lot of things, exactly what are we trying to understand out of this. But yes, I do agree with all these concepts, and the concept of surrender, the concept of desires leads to suffering. I think we've all experienced these aspects in our life, and this has all led us to become, I think, better persons with time, with this understanding. So that is definitely there. Having said that, every now and then these things do creep in, and we have to realize that it has come into our day-to-day action, and we have to let it be and observe it and let it go, because none of us would have reached there where we all feel sane about the actions that we are doing. But apart from those, too many things for me to grasp and understand. Probably it'll take me some time.
And that's okay. What we need to do at this stage is stay at the stage that we are, right? You don't have to hurry, or nobody has to hurry their own journey, right? Like Bhagwanji has just said in the last shloka, that you just walk the path that is meant for you as my nimit matra. Everything else I will take care of, right? So that's all that we need to do. And if we are in a space where some of these concepts seem very esoteric, difficult to understand, that's fine. Let it be there. As a first step, just do the right thing, right? As we keep doing the right thing, and there will be a lot of moments in your life that will come where doing the right thing itself is going to be very difficult. That will put you to test, and it will test every fiber of you, every rag dvesh in you, to be able to just do the right thing. Okay, it will force you to move past your sense of self, your sense of selfishness. And when you are able to apply that concept of just doing good, because otherwise we are all good people, we all want to do good things, right? But it's very easy for us to slip when things get tough. It's very easy to say, manyata says, the law, everybody does this, and very easily then we do the selfish thing, right? Very easy to go past a red light, or to give a little bribe here and there, because this is how things are done, right? That's where our concept of being good goes out of the window very, very quickly. It is in those small moments when we can stick to what is the right thing to do, and it comes to us on a daily basis, right? Which only we know about. as we keep applying ourselves in those situations, knowing what is the right thing to do, we're basically going through tap, and our intellect, our mind, everything is getting finer, more sukshma, more subtler. And as it does, as a part of that process, we will start to grasp more and more subtle aspects of the Lord. So like Arjun is understanding this in chapter 11, and even then he fully doesn't get it, right? But before that, he had to cross those first 10 chapters to get to chapter 11. So it's a journey, and that's totally fine. So let's just do the righteous things on a daily basis first, which will then help us get to the next level. That's perfectly all right to be here and not understand all of this. No, none of us really understands it. I didn't understand chapter 11 at all. I can see my notes in my notebook and I'm like, wow. The first level notes that I've taken are really amazing. Right? So you're right. It's a very heavy chapter, very heavy chapter. Yes, Kavita.
I just was thinking, like, maybe if it is, you can say whether this, this make any sense. Because, like, where Smita is asking for, why the Vishwaroop is very scary. Why that God took that form. I was thinking, he's speaking to Arjuna, who is now scared of going and fighting the war. So, but for him, he needs that. He need to see, everything is at the end of the day. What Arjuna need to do is he need to perform his duty, because at the end of it, he's, even when he's killing his gurus and he is killing his cousins, everything is finally merged into Bhagwanji. Because the thing is, so many other saints are seeing certain different kind of forms of God. When Sadhguru was saying, he felt that the moment of enlightenment, he saw everything is one. So different people, different forms of the God, they can see according to their need. I thought I'll just
they will see different forms of God, but they will never see different forms of Lord, right? He is only one. Ultimately, the truth is only one. Ultimately, everybody will see exactly the same thing. But when they come back to express it, they may express it differently, right? Because the limitations of expression itself in any form, whether it's music or dance or art or poetry or songs or words or prose, whatever we may use, ultimately it becomes limiting. But they will experience only that one reality, all of them. Because there is only one reality. You can't experience different forms of reality, ultimately.
Yeah. Then, see the reality, then what Arjun experienced is that reality, or everybody has that experience differently.
What does that mean?
When certain saints, or when they are talking about their time of enlightenment, some of them, they are saying, they kind of feel that they are one with everything. They felt like the kind of oneness with everything during that point of enlightenment. Or they feel only just the love everywhere. They are standing in the river of love. Different kind of experiences they are giving. So just which one we can, now Arjun's experiences is that, that the Bhagwanji took that Vishwaroop, and then it is a scary experience for him. So which
because
one?
he's not experienced Lord, no? What is Lord? Lord is Sat Chit Anand. He is love himself, right? And if you become one with Lord, that is exactly what you will experience. But Arjun hasn't experienced him yet. If Arjun had experienced him, then he would experience the same thing. Right now, he's scared. Why? Because he's scared of the names and forms being dissolved into him. And he's still attached to the concept of names and forms. He's their individualized self. He's not yet one with Paramatma. That's why he's scared, no? He's scared because he's attached to the names and forms, and he's seeing names and forms dissolved into Bhagwanji. And he's like, oh my gosh, I want to hold on to this. He's not yet chapter 18. He's a chapter 11 Arjun. That's why he's feeling scared. And you will see all his other Ishnas that will come out over the next couple of shlokas. The fear of death, Jayadrat. The fear of somebody else being better than him, Karn. He's still fighting that fear, that want of that vritti of being shresht, not the vritti of being uttam, right? We'll see all of those things. So he's still in that space. He's not yet one with Lord. He's not reached his point of enlightenment. Enlightenment means it's done. That's chapter 18. Yeah,
Thank you.
no worries.
A very beautiful class, Tavina. Thank you. A lot of takeaways, but the one which I am fighting and which I could relate to it when you actually said people like rivers are givers, but what comes in the way is the ego. And I think for 2 years I'm doing Gita, and there has been a lot of changes. I've really tried to put them to use, but this is one I'm fighting. I cannot give up my ego, and I don't know how many rounds of Gita I have to do. So as you were speaking about ego, and you also said ego does not want to get dissolved. Ego always fights back. I mean, I'm just quoting because I wrote down what you were saying. And it is going to be the most difficult battle for me, I think. Hence, I don't see myself anywhere getting that final, resolution or the final moksha, because there will be so many. Ego is something, it is so difficult to drop. And why I'm saying it, it makes you very vulnerable. And also, even, the fact that introducing someone to spirituality, I sit here and think, oh, that person did not thank me. I introduced him to this. I put him into this class. I put him into this group. So much of ego when you think that you are the doer where God is concerned. So yeah, this is a big takeaway. I'm trying to fight it. I don't know, maybe as more classes, there will be more discussions. You will reveal, and I will know, I'll get some tools. As of now, I really do not know how to handle this bit of my space. And I'm trying, but it's very, very difficult, and that is what I realized today.
Very nice takeaway, Kakoli. So first thing, it's difficult for all of us. It's the most difficult thing to give up, right? Even Shalini Didi is still fighting the same thing. It's the same battle at a different plane. It's the same battle. You attended that RCM yesterday, right? Parvati ji is being still subject to the same test. Test of what? Ego. Whether you've given up your ego or not, right? All those forms of questions, everything is ego. It is very difficult to give up. So it's not just you. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second, and you won't give up ego like that. Okay, it will come back like a Ravan in like several different forms again and again and again. Second, in the space that you're right now, you can definitely not give up ego, because you have the starting point of the conversation was, I cannot give up ego. That's your ego saying the same thing. Ego is saying, I cannot give up. Of course it cannot give up. That's how funny ego is. That's how difficult ego is. So that's how difficult it is to recognize it, because we are dependent on our own effort. Nah? It's my effort, my sadhana, my this thing. I will read through this 20 times, 30 times. I will go do this. I will go do that. I will get rid of ego. Who's saying that? Your ego is saying that to make you feel good, so that it can hide and transform itself in some capacity somewhere and say, hey, I got rid of it. You see that? See that ego? You see that little shadow there? That was ego. I got rid of it. It's fooling you, sitting right here, projecting something else to you, so you feel, oh wow, look at me, I'm so smart, I got rid of my ego. Who's saying that? Your ego deluding you. That's how difficult it is to get rid of ego. The only way to get rid of ego is to be in a space where you say, yes, I have ego. I see it. I see it in its myriad forms. Look, I saw it here. I saw it right here when I did this. I saw it right there. And then give it to Bhagwanji. Because what is Bhagwanji telling us in the last shloka that we just read? He very clearly stated, I have killed all your enemies. I have killed them, not you. Bhagwanji has killed enemies. You just walk the path and take all the yash for free. Take all the glory for free. Because you act as my nimit matra. So the day your ego needs to be dissolved by him, it will get dissolved by him. So first of all, have that complete faith. You are in his hands. You are his bacha. He's taking care of you. He will get rid of the ego when he needs to get rid of ego. You don't have to get rid of ego. He will show you all VVGPs. Before ego, there are 2,500 different other things that you need to get rid of, cleanse yourself, one step at a time. He's taking care of it. All you have to do is to be aware. Every moment, do your swadhyaya very strongly because it will speak to you in different ways. Right? It will teach you different ways, different things that you need to learn in your life. And slowly, he will take care of everything and he will get you back. So why the impatience? Why the worry? If he's taking care of you and he's taken you in his fold, then he will take care of you. Whether it takes 1 lifetime, 20 lifetimes, enjoy the journey. Know that you are on the path back to him. And if you are on the path back to him, enjoy the journey as much as you can. Be happy. He's taking care of you in every single situation. And just be aware and bhakti. Give it to Bhagwanji. Yeah, make sense? He'll take care of it. Yes, Bhagishri.
Like how we talked about living in the mode of surrender, and that's what we can do, just live in the mode of surrender, and then God will take care of us. And another thing was like when you said like whatever is happening in an atom is also happening in the world. So we just have to think about, we just have to change what is within us, and then yeah.
And the practical takeaway. Everything, look inside. What is causing, what is like, you don't like somebody, you don't like something, look inwards. What's causing that? What is it bringing out for me? What do I need to look into? And what do I need to offer it up to Bhagwanji as an offering? Please take this away.
Yeah. And also when you said that use all your circumstances to reach him, right? Though the circumstances which are given to us, it's different to all of us. What I am facing is different than what you are facing, and it's given to us. It's given to you, it's given to me. So we just have to use it to reach to him.
Absolutely. And they are like tailored to us. Our VVGPs are tailored to our vasanas that we need to work on. My set of vasanas is different from your set of vasanas, different from Kakoli's set of vasanas, different from Kavita's set of vasanas, right? We all have our vasanas. That's why we are here. We are stuck here yet, right? And we have to work on our vasanas. So the VVGP is perfectly tailored to specially work on those specific vasanas. So we have a, like, it's like, yeah, it's not a one size fits all. It's literally a very tailored program.
Yeah, it's like everything is given to us. We just have to, do it.
Correct. Exactly like he said. Just be my Nimit Patra, walk the path. Everything has been done for you. All the glory will be yours. You will not just receive the glory of the world here. You will receive a Samradh Rajya. A Samradh Rajya, which is full of material wealth, which is full of your emotional and mental and spiritual wealth. Everything will be yours. Just walk the path as my Nimit Matra. And don't fight, don't fight your VVGPs. Like, don't say, why me, why this? Don't keep whining and crying. Be a yodha. Whatever comes in your life, deal with it strongly with a full, with the right attitude and with the right bhavna, and be grateful for wherever you are in your space in life. Be grateful for everything that comes your way, good, bad, ugly, favorable, unfavorable, because everything is in your favor. Life is rigged in the favor of your ultimate welfare. And when life is rigged in your favor, then everything that comes, be grateful to Bhagwanji. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, if you are confused, Bhagwanji, help me, tell me what I should do next. That's it. With no attachment to end results. क्या होता है ना कि हम लोग बहुत जल्दी अटैच हो जाते हैं किसी ना किसी रिजल्ट से. वी थिंक दिस इज द राइट आउटकम एंड देन वी गेट अटैच टू इट. We get deluded. Rituj, it's 12:05. 1 minute.
My takeaway was about the importance of Swadhyay and how seeing within, and in every situation, whatever I face, rather than looking at someone else or just seeing what's wrong with them, see where I'm coming from and why am I reacting like that, and going into the root of it and seeing within, because and to do manan over what I'm reading on a regular basis, be it 2 shloks every day, and see how it can be applied to me. And rather than just becoming shelf knowledge, it should be self knowledge. So I think that is something I take away today.
Very nice. Thank you so much for sharing, everyone. I think my big takeaway is, for me, it is about, again, related to ego, right? Like being able to every time see a vritti in myself, and then it gets upsetting. Like, oh God, why did I do this? Oh God, how could I behave like this? Right? And that makes you feel really guilty. Right? That's my way of being. Like, makes you feel guilty, ugly, dirty. And like, ah, how can I be like this kind of a person? And what do I do? And then you go and say sorry and stuff like that, right? The point is, that's also his this thing only. Why do you that entire feeling of feeling bad, feeling guilty, like that has to get out of the way? Why? It's him. Like, just give it to him, be thankful that that also happened so that I could see it, and just be done with it, right? Like that negative feeling is also a feeling that you need to give up, because that also comes from a space of ego. Sit. Narayan, Narayan, everyone. Thank you so much for being part of this satsang. I'll see you next weekend.
Closing shlokas.
Yes, closing shlokas. From next time onwards, no, we'll do closing shlokas before the takeaways.
Yeah. ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ ॐ ॐ